Jim dusted his hands off, wiping sweat from his brow. He had a house pad cleared now, and builders coming to work on his cabin tomorrow. Although the native people refused to even come near the area, he'd found some out of work and down and outers that didn't care where they worked, as long as it was work. The next few weeks saw the cabin really shaping up fast. Soon it would be done and ready to bring his sweetheart over the threshold after their wedding in spring. It was fall now, and the chill in the air promised an early winter, but still, Jim worked hard, sweating in his plaid work clothes, jeans, and boots. It was all worth it. He breathed deeply in the crisp fall air and didn't really notice how quiet the woods became after the workers left for the day. Every day came much the same. A door had to be special ordered, but now at least the cabin was done. His home, his dream, his land. Silence reigned, and his flesh creeped goose pimples, rising as a strong smell, rank, old, wrong, musty, skunkish, filled the air, then was gone, wafting on the wind. He told himself it was nothing, probably just some critter or passing skunk, nothing more, but some small doubt chewed at the edge of his memory. Sasquatch lives here. These are his woods, the natives had said, and disappeared like shadows after the warning. His nearest neighbor was miles away. Good, he didn't much like people anyway, and sure didn't believe all that junk about some big monsters in the north woods that just might be watching him now. His flesh crawled, and that awful smell wafted on the wind again. Nope, it was nothing. He'd better get back to work with his chainsaw, making sure he got enough wood in the pile to last for at least the first part of winter. Snug in his cabin, his land, his hard work, he smiled, thinking of spring and the coming wedding, of how proud he'd be to show all this to his new bride. The warm comfort of the crackling fire in the stove lulled him to sleep until a loud crash jerked him from bed. Another crash. It was too dark to go outside. Crash after crash came pounding against the cabin. It was probably a bear, but he knew it wasn't. His heart froze. He wasn't a fearful man, but the awful moan he'd just heard chilled his soul, froze his steps. No way was that a bear. He'd hunted bear before. That wasn't anything he'd ever heard before, and it wasn't anything he ever wanted to hear again. The cheapness of the land, the way no bird chirped, no creature came near. A dead zone, the natives had called it, as if the whole place watched and waited. Nerves on edge, Jim did not go back to sleep that night, and for the first time in a long time, he actually prayed. In the morning, on the fresh snow, were footprints, huge footprints, all around the cabin. Definitely not bear. Some creature had gotten angry and thrown the wood he'd cut, a whole cord of wood, at his cabin. There would be no bride coming here come spring. Jim packed up his stuff in his old pickup truck and left, never looking back. He told a few people, some of his far neighbors, who had cared enough to warn him, and a good friend who related the story to me with permission to use it as long as I didn't say his last name. Jim and his wife live happy in the city now. Sometimes in dreams he hears that awful moan, hears the thuds and crashes. Paralyzed with fear, he wakes up in the city with his wife, safe. He put the property up for sale, but though there have been a few looking at it, there have been no buyers. Something about the place just gives people the creeps. Stubby new growth of weeds and trees has reclaimed the clearing where a lone cabin slumps forgotten, alone yet not alone, for there is something watching. The natives call him Sasquatch, skunk ape, and this is his land. End of Something in the Woods, story with whom we share our world, also known as Here Be Monsters Too, by Dr. T.J. Zion. Jim dusted his hands